Calculator, what's going on?
Greetings and salutations, Mr. 411. Thanks again for the intro music. You know, it always gets me pumped up when I get a little head bop going, getting ready for some CTL friendly wager action. You know, always shout out to the people from the Coles Distribution Center who's always tuning in.
Yeah, shout
Hey,
out.
I'm sure they were asking for the countdown clock, and the producers was very accommodating. So hey, anybody, if you guys have suggestions, we will definitely take them under advisement.
Absolutely. And you hear it. That's that money ringing. So we got to get into some picks today. And man, in the pre-show, in the discussions, man, I was like, man, there's some excellent matchups this weekend.
Oh my goodness.
And calculator, you picked some good ones, my man.
Thank you. Hey, well, we do every now and then. We always do the one of those things that people don't watch because a lot of times you can get advantages because not even bookmakers really pay much attention to the non-viewing public. But yeah, we try to get big games too. Even though big games are hard to pick, we're gonna dig into the numbers, get our own numbers, and then relay that information to people. Because let me tell you, there's two types of bettors. There's the bettors that bet for money. They do it as a second job. Or sometimes maybe it could be some people do it for their only source of incomes. Those are the really good bettors that do it, and they'll bet, and they have their own the games that aren't on TV. But then you have the people that bet recreational, and what they do is they bet because it makes the game more enjoyable to watch. Because let me tell you, there are some games where it's a blowout, but if you have money on a big spread, you are watching every single game. You're cursing if the game's out of it. You still cursing because. And I'll be the first one. That Syracuse Army game last week, Mr. 401, I'm
Come on,
still
man.
hurting from that. I mean, Mr. 401, I turned that off because I was also paying attention to the Florida State Clemson game. I said, okay, this game's over. This game's covered. And all of a sudden, I did a little thing at the bottom of the screen. What? And I went, I said, a 70-yard Army. But hey, that's what happens. You got to live with it. But anyways, to go back to the original point, Mr. 401,
Yes,
we do
sir.
it. We like to get the big show so that people, bet on it, and then they get more engrossed into the game, get more out of the game, and just make it more enjoyable. And that's what we're
Absolutely.
here. Hmm.
That's right. Absolutely. For the beauty of the game. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's get the party started. Calculator. Here we go with CTL. Get ready, everybody.
And we are live, Mr. 411.
Calculator, you know what we ask everybody to do. Well, first, welcome everybody to the show. Today is September the 28th, 2023. CTL crossing the lines. And before we get this party started, make sure you do the following.
Subscribe, like, notify. Three big things, but hey, we always talk about that notification button being bigger because let me tell you, the thing is, I'll said it before and I'll say it again. The lines change constantly, so that's why we try to get you the lines we currently have, and then and then we try to say, and we will give you recommendations if we think if lines are going to move, but lines move like crazy all the time. So if you get that notification, we'll try to get you the best lines out there at that time, and then go from there.
And there it is, Calculator. Look, Bo and the boys.
The Delta 8s, I hear you.
They are ready. They are ready.
Yes,
And
they are.
Calculator, you know what, Calculator? I don't
Oh,
have anything in the oven right now.
man,
I,
man.
I really
When,
don't.
And you
oh,
know what that means?
That's right, folks. And I tell you, Mr. Foreman, I'm so glad you got that news. I got goosebumps last week. I get goosebumps again. I could watch it over and over, Mr. 411. It is Smelly Line time. We got a triple option deal going on, but more on that in a minute. But we got Friday Night Lights and we got Smelly Line right off the bat. Hey, this Utah at Oregon State, 9 o'clock. Thank you, college football, for getting this on. Everybody knows I'm an Oregon State fan. I don't care what happened in that Washington State game. Still a big believer in the Beavers. Hey, lots of options this Friday night. And since yours truly, hey, our local high school is on the road this week, so don't have to be at the Friar at the concession stand this weekend. So I'm going to be sitting on the couch enjoying me some Pac-12 football, folks. And what, hey, it's given us 2 top 20 teams. You see the spread, you see the game. Hey, but when I saw the line, before the line even come, I'll say before the line come out, I was thinking this is going to be at best a pick 'em, right? But then what kind of got it smelly is like, man, a team that just lost last week didn't look very good for 3 quarters, actually. Last week against Washington State is actually favored against an undefeated team, a top 10 team, a team that has looked pretty much dominant with all the exception of, well, you could say dominant defense was dominant last week. But hey, 2 things to explain this line when I had to dig down, because I said I got to look on why Oregon State is actually favored. This home field advantage, Friday prime time TV showing. That's right. Look at these trends, folks. Oregon State is 13-1 against the spread, 1 at home, going all the way back to the beginning of 2021. The only loss against the spread came 2 weeks ago after San Diego somehow got a fourth quarter, one of those garbage touchdowns when they're playing prevent. On the other side, even though Utah is outstanding at home, they are only 4-8-1 against the spread on the road going back to 2021. You might be saying, calculator, is Sam Rising coming back this week? The quarterback, Utah quarterback? I say, I doubt it. The line says he's not coming back. And heck, if you're coming off major knee surgery, I don't think Utah wants to put him on the road in front of a ferocious defense on a Friday night. Hey, I expect an absolute slugfest. Both teams are going to lean on the run. But hey, you give me Oregon State, you give me a primetime TV, you give it's in Corvallis, going to be rocking, and I'm giving up only a field goal. The hook's not there, folks. So, hey, the Smelly Line, I'm going the opposite way. I'm going to go, hey, everybody's going to be hammering, I think, the public that really isn't digging into the numbers like I did. I'm going back to 2021 on trends, the 401. They're just going to automatically Utah. But, hey, I'm getting an undefeated top 10 team, 3 points. I'm going to take it all day long. I'm telling you, that's what Vegas wants you to do. I'm not falling for it. So I'm taking the Beavers to cover the 3 on Friday Night Lights.
Indeed. Way to kick things off, calculator.
So,
man, you got this show ready, man. The party has begun, man. And you know what? We cashing in, man. And wait, I feel like my pocket's about to get even fatter now.
Big win! Epic win!
Yes, sir, folks. You know what that means? Another early jackpot and that's what I said, a triple option, folks. This is the third of the triple option. It is another Friday night game. And hey, if you're enjoying what's going on at Oregon State, you can flip over to another network and say, hey, you got another game going on at 10:15. The Cincinnati Bearcats at the BYU Cougars. That's right, folks. Hey, this one caught my eye for one reason. Cougars came back down to earth a little last week after their huge upset at Arkansas 2 weeks ago and lost a tough one to Kansas, but the Jayhawks had those 2 defensive scores for a touchdown, so that could be a little deceiving. On the other side, I believe Cincy's numbers are still a little inflated due to an outright win against Pittsburgh in week 2 and played a decent game last week against the Sooners. But folks, This is the same team that just 2 weeks ago lost to a struggling Miami, Ohio. That's right, folks. Not
Wow.
Miami, Florida. This is Miami, Ohio. That's right. But hey, this even opened up as the Cougars -1 has moved a full 3 points, and that's where I think I'm going to jump on value. I think BYU has the better personnel on both sides of the ball, and they have to play a team. Cincinnati has to travel 1,600 miles to play Friday night in Provo at altitude. You might say altitude. Guess what? Calculator looked all the way back, and the last time that Cincinnati has played at this altitude, all the way back to 2015, folks. And guess what? It was at the same location, and they lost by 2 touchdowns. Altitude is for real. And hey, I'm not even giving up the points. I'm taking the home dog. I'm taking the team that I think is better. And again, Friday night gets people pumped up. Take your Cougars. That's our jackpot. And hey, we'll be the first to admit, not a good week last week, but hey, the jackpot, at least that saved us some. So, but yeah, I just liked it. I like the spot for the BYU Cougars, and I love a team that has to travel going against a team that has to travel 1,600 miles, especially if they're not the superior personnel.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, I love that one too. That's a great one right there. So yeah, calculate a great job again. And I like the way you brought in some facts there. You use some geography in there. Some altitude and things like that. And I think that's going to come to play in our next matchup. And I'm gonna call this next matchup, calculator, a prime time pick. We'll go with that. All right, so let's go. What's next?
All right. Hey, big noon Saturday, folks. 12 o'clock. You got the USC Trojans 21.5. Yes, they are at altitude at Colorado Buffaloes. But you know what? We don't need to dig deep in the numbers to get a feel for this game. Me and 411 talked when this opened up at 24, and I said, man, that seems like a nice spot for Buffalo. For the Colorado, they're getting 24 points. They're switching to home. We both think Oregon's a better play. Oregon plays better at home than USC does on the road. That's just a mere fact. History trends select that. But guess what? As soon as this opened 24, the Sharps bet it down to 21.5. So that actually had the calculator thinking, hey, I might have to start getting the value because it is stuck at 21.5. So, hey, just last week, we saw the following for USC. The USC defense isn't bad. I said this last week, right? The USC defense as a whole is bad, but the Trojans' D-line should be up to the task to take on the Devils' O-line, which is the worst quarterback pressure rate and tackle for loss rate. Well, the key phrase was I said they are one of the worst in quarterback rate and pressure rate and tackle for loss rate. Well, guess what? There's only one team that is worse than Arizona State in quarterback pressure rate. That's the Colorado offensive line, folks. And what did the Sun Devils do that was successful? They ran the ball. Well, what did they do? They ran it successfully. They kept the USC Trojans on the offense on the sideline, and USC only scored their 42 points due to the limited possessions, due to the running of the clock that Arizona was doing. And hey, that's where it's going to hurt Colorado from this standpoint. Colorado averages roughly 60 yards per game, and thus I don't think it'll be part of the game plan as a whole. And I think the Trojans offense will spend more time on the field. And if that happens, listen to this: the Trojans average 6.92 yards per carry, while the Buffaloes give up 5.33 yards per carry, which is 125th in the country. Mr. 401, there's only 133 teams that we're talking about at this time. So, hey, how will Colorado stay with USC as this game goes on? Listen, I'm a big fan of Primetime. Love what he's doing in Boulder. Love the attention he's bringing to a long, struggling program. But when you have a high-profile game they get the attentions of other teams, I think this game being big noon Saturday is going to pump up the Trojans. They're going to want to make a statement. Lincoln Riley's known for running up scores back when he was in Oklahoma, right? So I think 21.5 is still a little too low because my number was 26-27, and that's why I was a little hesitant even to go on 24 because, again, my preliminary numbers had 26-27 on it. So, but hey, even though I'm picking the Trojans to win, Colorado fans, don't worry. The Buffaloes get Arizona State and Stanford their next 2 games. So they'll be able to lick their wounds against lesser rosters in the coming weeks to get that bad taste out of their mouth. But at this one, I just have to go with USC Trojans because again, it's under my number, so that's why I'm taking the Trojans to cover the 21.5.
Absolutely. And guess what? There's going to be an interesting matchup too in this game too. You remember, speaking of prime time, Deion Sanders, right? Him and Jerry Rice used to have those old NFC West battles.
Oh
When
man,
Coach Prime was with the Falcons, going up against the 49ers. And in this matchup, you have in the secondary Shiloh Sanders, and you have Jerry Rice's son at receiver. And I think
oh,
he leads USC in touchdown receptions with 5.
okay,
So we should see a clash there coming up in this game too. So many reasons to watch this game. Ultimately, you got to watch the game for CTL reasons. But yes,
absolutely,
check that out as well. All right, there's another matchup in the area that we're familiar with, the
that's right.
Southeastern Conference.
Exactly. Hey, and if you listen to the show, you know we can't help but follow the SEC. And listen, the one thing I've noticed this year with this year's Kentucky's team is that the team, if they run it effectively, then they just chuck the ball down the field, right? Kentucky Wildcats is top 10 in offensive explosive rate. And on the other side of the ball, Florida is bottom third in the country in defensive explosive rate. In other words, you have a team that's really successful with explosive plays and a team that is unsuccessful in stopping the deep plays. And guess what? Big edge in special teams with the Wildcats. And I think with this, as you can see, a spread that is so close, this could be a big factor. You might say, calculator. Could this be a spot where Kentucky looks ahead as they have a big game on deck with Georgia next week? I say absolutely not. The team Kentucky circles on their calendar is actually Florida. They asked Mark Stoops that thing, and he said, no, it is all Florida all week, right? Hey, that is the team they want to beat every year. That is the team they get up for. While I see Florida has had a much tougher early season schedule, we know they looked quite impressive in the Tennessee game, but as we
Yeah.
know, that was in the swamp. Gators are a different team on the road. So in summary, I get a team with an edge in explosive plays. I get a team that has edge in special teams. And guess what? It's pretty much a pick 'em. And I'm getting the home team. Take the Cats, late field goal to win the game and cover that 1 point.
All right. And that's sometimes this is a great basketball game too. Florida
Oh,
Gators and Kentucky Wildcats.
oh yeah,
Yeah, we're
absolutely.
getting close to basketball season as well here. But yeah, take the Cats as the calculator says. We're gonna stay in the Southeastern Conference calculator.
Gotta stay. And finally, I found the spot. Everybody knows we love the Bulldogs down here, especially in the state of Georgia. And the Georgia Bulldogs finally made it to the CTL program because hey, they're playing at the Auburn Tigers. It's 3:30. Hey, this will be the first game Georgia has played from the friendly confines of Stanford Stadium, where they have started the year 4-0. However, they are 0-3-1 against the spread. But hey, you want trends? Here's a trend. In this matchup, Georgia has won the last 6 games against the spread against Auburn, and have actually covered 9 of the last 10 games against Auburn. And on the other side, Auburn is 2-4 against the spread as a home dog dating back to 2020. And Georgia is an absurd 13-4 as a road favorite dating back to 2018. Hey, we know trends. They're a little help. But hey, we'll look at this year. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. UGA is not looking like the past versions of their last 2 years. But offense for Auburn, they had a
Mm.
whopping 56, folks, 56 yards in passing against what I would say is an average Texas A&M secondary. Because you know why I say average? Look what Texas A&M secondary did against the Hurricanes. It wasn't much. Okay, and that was just 3 weeks ago. So how in the world is it logical that Auburn will be able to fix these problems overnight and move against what is still a somewhat stout UGA defense? Auburn will try to run the ball because they can't throw the ball, and UGA will be able to move those 2 safeties up, get in the box, stop the run because they know they're not going to be able to beat them through the air. Hey, looking at the big picture, and this is where I'm getting to. there's a lack of quality opponents on the UGA schedule as a whole. Okay. And that could actually hurt them when it comes to selection time when they start, trying to select for the playoff. So they're going to have to start piling up convincing wins, not just win, but convincing wins. All right. So, when I looked at this, I saw 3 touchdowns, 20. So it came out at 14 and a half. Smash
Yeah.
the button. I think Georgia covers. I think they cover easily. 14 and a half is still too low with the way these teams are going. Hey, Auburn, they didn't just struggle against Texas A&M. Look at their couple weeks ago against California. You say, yeah, those are road games, a home game. I'm sorry, you struggle that badly, it's not going to get corrected at home. So I love the Bulldogs. Only giving up because, like I said, this one has 3 touchdowns written all over it. So take your Bulldogs and swallow the 14 and a half.
Oh yeah, easy money right there. All right, take the dogs. And by the way, check us out weekly. Check out the show. Check out Bone. They are the
Oh, yeah.
host of Damn Good Dogs. So check us out weekly. That's why you got to hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. Great
Yeah,
show there.
if you're a dog fan, that is for you.
Absolutely. All right. Let's see where we're going next, calculator. Looks like we're going out to the Midwest area.
That's right, the Big 12, folks. And let me tell you, one of the hottest teams in the NCAA, looking a lot like TCU last year, based on how good they're doing. The Sooners, Oklahoma, scorching the books right now. They not only are they 4-0 against the spread for 2023, they are beating the spread by close to 2 touchdowns on average per game. And I don't think the books will adjust enough for this upcoming week. What has made OU so good this year is their quarterback Gabriel has been able to stay healthy, but now looks like second-year head coach Brent Venables has finally been able to go back to his roots and build up that defense. A lot of people gave Dabo Swinney credit for that those Clemson national championships, but a lot of that he got a lot of help from his defensive coordinator Brent Venables. OU has yet to allow more than 17 points per game, and seeing the last road game Iowa State played was a 10-7 loss to the Ohio Bobcats, folks. OU has usually struggled in their matchups historically with Iowa State, but that was when Matt Campbell had a future NFL quarterback in his on his roster named Brock Purdy manning the ship. I see Oklahoma doing what they have been doing this year, scoring early and often, and using that defense, which gives up an average of 1.5 per quality drive, and shutting down the Cyclone offense, or the Cyclone Cyclone offense. What that stat is? That stat is if a team has got more than 2 first downs in a drive, that's considered a quality drive. So what Oklahoma is actually doing is, if you have a quality drive game, they're able to shut it down after that second first down. So that is really encouraging for the Oklahoma Sooners going forward. And hey, and this is under that magic number of 21. So as long as that's at 20, once it gets to 21, I would still do it, because even a 3 touchdown gets you the push. 21 and a half, I might get a pause, but I think I can swallow the 20 points and just go Boomer Sooner.
There it is. All right, take them. Great selection there again. I think they're gonna mollywop them, calculator.
Yeah. Yep. Me as well.
Okay. App State. This is a team that I like to keep up with from time to time. So what caught your eye on this one?
Oh, well, see, and that's what caught my eye is like, we always talk about those nondescript games, the ones you got to search on the ESPN plus, to make sure it gets there. This could be one of those folks. But first of all, it caught my eye because it's a good team against an inferior team, and it's under that magic 14 points. So I said, hey, got to put it on the CTL Ocean, because I'm going to take value if I see value. Appalachian State is 3 late turnovers and a blocked field goal from being 4-0 this year, with 2 of those losses being to North Carolina and Wyoming. If you were adjusting for luck factor, App State is 4-0 against the spread. Believe it or not, lucky plays do get put into Book's formula when coming out with that preliminary number. So that is the thing that we can look to try and get it in our favor. I want to make a quick analogy why I got the time, Mr. 4-1. Kind of like when you're playing blackjack, right? Your hand is 14. You see the dealer holding a 6. What do? You hold, because we're hoping that card that you're not seeing is a high card. Well, there is always a chance that it's a low card and they can hit and get the 17. And there's always a chance that it's a high card to 16, but then they get the low card. That is the luck I'm trying to say. So listen, when you're talking about this particular game, App State can flat out run the ball. and ULM has little on the defensive side to stop it. And guess what? ULM were running the ball, but that's because they are another one of those teams that just has lack of skill players. That's all they can do. So again, they're going to do what I talked about Georgia doing. Their defensive game plan: move the safeties up, stuff the run, and see if those Jags on the outside can do something against their defense. So again, it's under the 2 touchdowns. I feel safe giving up the 13.5 because look, App State's look phenomenal. I actually had them. I was looking at them a little last week in the Wyoming game, and the reason I didn't pick it is because, again, we talked about altitude games, and that was the thing that kind of worried. Wyoming's another one of those that
Right.
plays at altitude, and that's why I just said I crossed it off my list. And you know what? App State actually absolutely dominated that game. And again, we talked about that blocked field goal that Wyoming was able to somehow get a blocked field goal for a touchdown to pull out the win. But yeah, love this. Take the Mountaineers. Hope that if luck is a factor, it's not enough for the spread, not to affect the spread. I think App State rolls in this game. So give up the 13.5.
All right, man. Calculated some great games as we was talking about, man. Man, what a slate of action this weekend, and what a slate that you provided today on CTL. We still got another segment left.
Yeah,
Calculated. I'm
one
sure there's
more.
something you want to ask me.
I know we have some fans that are just waiting for it, but we always like to say one of the best for last.
Yes, indeed. All right, well, Calculator, I know you got something you need to ask me, so go ahead.
Mr. 411, what are the 3 things that Mr. 411 believes in?
All right, Calculator. Mr. 401 believes in the man upstairs. Without the man upstairs, none of this would be possible, Calculator. So you got to believe. Mr. 401 also believes in old Saint Nick. And every time we have an episode, it gets closer and closer to that day, Calculator.
Every episode we go, he gets closer and closer. And that smile might be getting, we might have to get that picture. It looks like the smile keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Oh, yeah. I wonder why. He's probably smiling because the same reason I'm smiling, because we both believe in Dr. Sachs.
Dr. Sachs, that's right. Santa Claus is waiting for the Dr. Sachs algorithm pick of the week, folks.
All right, so we're gonna get right to it, Calculator.
Yeah. Hey, let's show the fans what this is, and I'll break it down for you.
All right.
Yes,
And there
sir,
it is.
folks. We talked about it earlier. There was some foreshadowing. This isn't your Miami of Florida Hurricanes, folks. This is Miami, Ohio, at Kent State. And guess what? We're getting a home dog at 14.5. Again, the algorithm loves anything, when you start hitting magic numbers. So if you can get a home dog at 14.5, listen, Miami, Ohio, they had their one good game of the year, when they beat Cincinnati, but I like the Kent State flashes. I love the algorithm, but you know what? I really can't go into the details of it. All I know is hey, that algorithm was spitting them out last week, spitting out winner after winner. Hey, just a little side note, it didn't make our production show, but the algorithm last week actually had Nevada with getting 17 points. At the end of the fourth quarter, Nevada had a special teams touchdown and a defensive touchdown to start that game and was up by 17 points. Now, Texas State did come back, but they couldn't cover because the spread was 17. But you see, the algorithm takes into stuff like that, and I love it. So hey, I'm trusting the algorithm, the secret formula, the model. You call it what you want. I call it winning. So yeah, take Kent State plus 14.5.
Absolutely. All right, there it is. Dr. Sachs once again delivers again.
Yes, sir.
Calculator. Man, what a day. What a day, man. What an episode, man. There's a lot of games to look forward to. And it's like Todd is still out here. Big shout out to Todd. Shout out to Todd and everybody down there at Coles.
I think he had a misspelled word there, but we'll let him we'll let it slide.
Yeah, it's fine. we will let it roll for the day. But yes, Bo believes in 401 calculator. All right. Awesome.
Oh, and the Coles crew. Hey, you can't leave out the Coles crew, Mr. 411. Hey, I hear about it all the time. And if you need a job, I always hear from that Coles is always hiring, especially we heard about Christmas around the corner. They like to gear up for Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and the Christmas. So hey, so Coles is always hiring, folks.
Well, there it is. Make sure you holler at Make sure you holler at the calculator in 411 and we'll get you lined up.
Yes, sir.
So not only are we lining your pockets here on CTL, we'll line you up with a JOB too.
Hmm. That's right. We're all in one podcast, folks.
There it is. There it is. All right. Well, calculator, any closing remarks before we roll out?
No, just hey, I'm just so excited. I'm loving loving a weekend of football that's going to be ahead of us, and I'm loving the friendly wagers that'll hopefully be going our way this week.
All right. Well, he's the calculator. I'm Mr. 411. Make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe, the notification bell. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring.
Herring. Yes, sir.
Yes, it is. Plus, notification bell keeps you on your toes so you'll be ready for everything that pops up because you don't want to miss any of the lines the calculator comes
That's
up with.
right.
And by the way, put the comments out there. We check them 24/7. We'll help you out.
That's right. And hey, we do it on our fantasy show and we do it on CTL. If you have a question, if you have a line that you have a question on, put it on there and we will definitely look at it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, everybody have a great day. For the calculator, I'm 411. CTL is now over, and we are out.
Bye, everyone.